Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. If one goes on Umrah, can we assume that the meat served is halal? Now, this is a sticky issue because there's a real concern and then there's a real general approach. And the general approach is a strong one. And the general approach is that we trust believers. When believers serve us with food, we don't ask, where did you get this from? To that extent, unless there's a circumstance, a prevailing circumstance that would justify such an approach. But generally speaking, when a believer serves you with food, you consume the food. So that's the general approach. However, in the case of Saudi, I've read many fatwa by many scholars who indicate that there's evidence that the meat and poultry, especially the poultry though, served in the kingdom, that which is locally produced is halal because it comes from the Muslims. But that which is imported is questionable. Now, questionable is not the same as saying that it is unlawful. And the argument is that it's questionable, some say because of machine slaughtering, and of course there's ikhtilaf about that. And some say it's questionable because of where it comes from and not knowing the standards or the practices of those regions. Now, if you go to a food outlet and they can prove to you, or they attest to the fact that what they are serving you is what they refer to as watani, right? Locally produced produce, then you are safe. You are consuming that which is, inshallah, safe and halal. And then when you are consuming imported poultry, especially again, then some have cast aspersions on that and some have cast some doubts on that. Does that mean that it is haram? No. The assumption is that those who are serving you and the owners of the restaurant and the Muslims who are involved in the process, that they would have ensured that what they are feeding you is halal. That's a safe assumption to make. So we cannot blame others if they take that assumption and they go with it. Still, the better thing to do is to stay away when there is in fact cause of doubt or cause for doubt. The Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he said very beautifully in one of the most important ahadith of Islam that al-halalu bayyinun wal-haramu bayyinun. The lawful is clear, the unlawful is clear. وَبَيْنَهُمَا أُمُورٌ مُشْتَبِهَاتٌ. Between them there are doubtful matters. Then he goes on to say, whoever saves themselves from the doubtful matters, they have saved their religion and they've saved their honor. And whoever enters into the doubtful matters, it is inevitable that they are going to enter into the unlawful. And then he gives the example of the shepherd who grazes the sheep. I think that's the term. He allows the sheep to graze at the edges of the property, right, on the border of the farmer's property. And there's no fence in between, so the sheep will inevitably go over onto the other farmer's property, and that's not the first farmer's right to do so because it's not his property. So with that considered, the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ is giving us a yardstick of approach here. If you approach a matter and you are certain, or you have reasonable expectation that something is lawful, then it's lawful. It's clear. And then of course you also know when something is clearly unlawful. And when there's reasonable doubt, something that puts you into doubt, the better approach is to try and refrain from entering the doubtful matters. And this will protect your religion and it will protect your honor as well. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows best. Now, many of the fatwa and things that I read of this nature was from at least 2016, but then I saw one as recent as 2023 as well. People still, reliable scholars still suggesting caution in this regard. So until I read anything else, that would be my answer in this regard. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala a'lam. There are, however, many answers about halal and haram in terms of meat on seekersguidance.org, and you can find a lot of benefit within them. So do visit them bi'idhnillahi ta'ala.
La ilaha illallah Muhammad Rasulullah.